Welcome to part 4 of Competency 6. In this video, we will continue working with quadratic equations. If you recall from the prior video, we had worked with the first two forms of the quadratic equation. In this video, we will work with the third form, the factored form. Also, we will refer to the first form, which is a standard form, so we can solve our quadratic formula. Number 1, what are the zeros for the function y equals 2x squared minus 4x minus 3 rounded to the nearest hundredths? Okay, for this particular problem, you may say, oh, well, let's work this out, see if we can factor it. No, we are going to use our apps in our calculator, okay, and that is going to be number 9, see number 9 down at the bottom. That's what you want, so push that. Now, we want the polynomial root finder. Finding the roots and finding the zeros is the same thing. So let's push enter. Now, notice I have it set on 2. That's because we have x squared, leading degree is 2. And notice also that I have it on the complex format. That's what you want just to be safe, because there's no guarantee that all of these problems would have only real numbers. I mean, you could have a complex situation. So just leave it set up for that. Okay, so now see where it says next, push graph. Okay, well, here in the middle, it says clear. I need you to kind of get used to saying that. So we have clear, and notice how it leaves us with a 1 as our leading coefficient, but then we have zeros for the others, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and start entering it. So first we need 2, so type over 2, okay? Then it wants us to check our operation. Well, we do need subtraction. So minus, enter, and then 4, and enter. Now again, we need subtraction for our operation. So push subtraction and enter. And then instead of 0, we need 3. Okay? Now looks like everything's entered correctly. And again, push graph for solve. Okay. And that gives us a nice solid, two nice solid values for x. Okay? So we need to do a little rounding. Looks like for the first one, we have negative 0.58. That's where we would round. So A would not be valid. B, nope. C, I'm looking at D. I'm going to say D would work. We have to look at the other number and make sure it is also rounded correctly. And it is. So those would be the values that we need. Okay. Which are actually, when they say zeros, those are coordinate points that actually are on the x-axis, okay? All right, so let's enter the next one. It says, what are the zeros for the function? And we have y equals negative 3x squared plus 12x minus 11. Okay, see we're in the middle where we had clear before. Now it's where the zoom is. It says coefficient. Okay, push that, push zoom. And what we have is we can type over the values. Now, coefficient's misleading because the 2 is a coefficient, 4 is a coefficient. 3, yes, it's an intercept, it's a constant, but let's just go with coefficient. I think that that was the best that they could do to tell us as far as pushing a button on the calculator. So that's really what you need to push. So let's do our type over. Now, you could push clear, and there you go. We have our leading 1. But again, we need negative 3. Okay, now this time it's a negative symbol. And then your 3 and enter. Okay, plus is okay, so push enter. But now we need 12. Okay, then enter. But plus is not okay, so push your subtraction, enter. Now 11 and push enter. Okay, everything should be entered well. Yes, it is. All looks well. So now where it says solve, that's graph. Now we have some good values again. Notice they're both positive. So let's take a look. I like A. I'm thinking A's okay. Obviously B's not. You know what's wrong with C? That one negative. very similar to A. So we need to check our negatives and our positives. Okay. D, no. So yes, A is, there you go, proper verified option. All right. Notice we haven't had to work anything out. And when you have 3 minutes a question, this is the best way to deal with it. Okay. Now, of course, you could enter it in the y equals and graph, but let's think about it. They're not asking for a graph, and you could estimate using it. That's just another way. I think this is probably the easiest and fastest way to go about this. Okay, so now let's look at number 3. Well, thing is, we don't have decimals here, but using the app will actually work here. So we need to try it. We have options. You can try using the quadratic formula by hand. It's not a bad thing to do. But during my test, I didn't even crack it out once. I used a calculator the entire time. So that being said, let's go ahead and push coefficient twice, and push your zoom twice. So it's cleared it all out. Let's start entering. So, and I want to show you here. This says negative. Well, actually, that's an understood -1. And that's what we need to put in first, using the negative symbol in 1 and enter. Okay. Now let's go to the next one. We need a subtraction, enter, and it says we need 8. Okay. And then a negative or a subtract. Okay. Then 18. Okay. Here we go. All right. So it looks like everything is entered correctly. I always double check my entering. Okay. All right. Looks good. So graph. Ooh, okay. We actually have some options here. I need you to notice something. This is actually, as I warned, complex. Look at A and B. A and B are not complex options, so get rid of those. Now we have C and D. Well, they both have -4 in that A position in our form. Okay, so that's okay. But now we don't know. Okay, and both of our answers are positive and negative. Okay, so we have positive and negative in each of those. That's okay. But we don't know which is which. Okay. We have 1.4142 and so on. Well, let's think about this. This is 2. This, when we enter that, that is greater than 1. It's going to be uh actually greater than 3, I believe. So I would say that D is not an option because it's just too large. I would go with C, but take a look at what we had in our form, 1.41. Okay. Now, back out real quick. Okay, see how we have number 6? I use second mode and I go to number 6, it gets me there. So what do we need to do? We need to double check our square root of 2. I already know what it should be estimated as because I do this all the time, but you're going to take a test. You're going to be tired, stressed. I was actually sick when I took mine. So tired and stressed doesn't even say what I felt like. I used my calculator the whole time. So let's go second radical and put that 2 in and check it. And there we go. That is exactly what we needed. Okay, so if we go back to our app and check what we had, go back to 9 and enter and do next. And it's all, see how it keeps it for us? And push graph, and there you go. We're fine. Nothing wrong with what we have. All right, so let's go on to number 4. Number 4, what are the zeros for the graph the graph for the function y equals 2x squared plus 9x. Okay, I left our calculator in our application because we were already using it. So what do? We go to zoom, which is coefficient. That means push zoom to go back to the type over, but we don't want to type over, so I'm going to push zoom again. Now everything's cleared and we're ready to go. So type over our leading one, so we need 2, enter, and we have positive next, so push enter, and we need a 9, enter. Now, see how it says positive 0? That's what you need, because you don't have a C value, okay? That's fine. It's just 0. Not a big deal. Okay, so now let's solve. Push graph. Oh, nice. That gives us what we need right away. One of our values should be 0 and the other one should be negative 9. Well, we only have one option with a negative, not negative 9, negative 9 over 2. I apologize for that. Okay, so obviously option A is our only option. As you see C, if you don't look close, you'll notice it's a reciprocal. So that's not going to work. And these other two, they're positive. So obviously A is the best option. Okay, let's look at number 5. What are the zeros for the graph for the function y equals 3x squared minus x minus 2? Same thing. We're going to use our app again. So push zoom. That gets you back to the type over for your numbers, but we want to just push zoom and clear it out. You could just type over. It all depends on what you like to do. I'm trying to show you the use of the calculator, so I'm going to clear it out every time. So type over your 3 for your leading coefficient. Okay, then we need a minus. So push your minus and enter. But see how you just have a negative x? Well, that implies an understood negative 1. So you need to put a 1 in here. Okay, and again, we need a subtraction, enter, and now type over your 2. Okay, everything looks good. So push graph for solve. Okay, looks like we have some solid numbers. This 0 won't work. This 0 won't work. Okay, and we need a negative. So I would say option D. Great. Yes, a whole lot better than working all of it out. Now, let's look at number 6. The zeros of y equals 4x squared plus bx plus c are a half and negative 4. What are the values of b and c? Okay, now you may say, wait a minute, we got to work all this out. That's going to take a while. No, we're not. Absolutely not. Not going to happen. Oh, yeah, you could go through the motions. No, this is what we are going to do. We're going to use the app we have right in front of us and literally check each of these options. It's a lot faster. I've done it several different ways. Okay, so we're going to do zoom to go back to our coefficient form, push zoom again to type over. Now, this is what we need to do. Type your 4 in, okay, and then whatever the option is here, let's look at A. It's a negative 14. So, or for us, a subtract 14. So push minus, enter, 14, enter. And now that is again a subtract 8. So subtract, enter, 8, enter. Okay, so everything's in. Now we need to solve. When we solve, we should get back what we started with. We should get the zeros, and those were the given zeros. Okay, so push solve. No, they are the inverse signs, so the signs are wrong. The values are correct per se, but we have a negative, half, and a positive 4. So obviously A is not what we need. So mark that out. Let's try B. So what do? Push zoom. Now we don't need to do all this typing over. Now, as you see, you can just arrow over. So go here. B is actually a plus. So push plus to type over. 14 is fine. Arrow over. Negative 8 stays the same. So all of that's going to work. So push graph. Ah, I see what we need. I see a positive half and a negative 4 as values. So that actually gets us back where we started. So I would say B. But because this is so quick and you save time from having to write all this out, we can simply push zoom and check the other two. Now, if you're running low on time in a test, I wouldn't do that. Say you're getting towards the end, you're stressed out, don't do that to yourself. Just move on. But if it really bothers you, let's go ahead and do that. So I have a positive 7. So I'm going to type over the 7, and then this needs to be a plus and a 4. Okay, so we have 4. Okay, double check my entries quick. Okay, so let's push solve. Oh my goodness gracious, that is even complex. Not going to work. Okay, so now push zoom. Okay, and now we can type over. Now you don't want to clear it because you want that 4. The 4 doesn't change. So arrow over, wait a minute, that's going to be negative. I can arrow back, see, and push minus, enter. Now that's going to be a half. Now let's push alpha y equals. Okay, wait a minute, wait a minute. That has worked for me in the past. Yeah, there it is. I didn't push it correctly. Now, I have it as a negative or a subtraction. So I need 1, arrow down 2. Okay, then enter. Okay, there we go. Just got to make sure you push it correctly. For some reason on this app, that's not the first time I've had that issue. I had to go back and do alpha y equals again. Not sure why that's occurring, but that may just be my emulator, okay, and not your calculator, right? The emulator is tiny bit more sensitive. Okay, so I have the subtract and enter. The 4 is okay. Let's push graph. Oh, no, that's not the values we started with, so that's not going to work. So obviously, even checking all of them, we still got done and saved time. Because remember, on the test, you only have 3 minutes per question. Oh, and look at number 7. Looks like we're going to be doing that again. So we will be looking for 6 over 5 and 2 as our zeros. So let's set up. So what do we need to do? Go back to Zoom. Okay, but we don't have a value for A. All right, so I'm going to push zoom again because we want to kind of start over. Leave that 1 in there, okay, because we're going to be changing it to, using our options for A. So let's go over and put in what we have here. Right here, we need a minus 16. So put in your minus, enter, and your 16 and enter. Okay? Now go back and let's try one at a time. I'm looking at option A first. Okay? So that will be a negative. I actually have to use the negative symbol because it's first. Negative 5, enter. Okay? Right, then I arrow over and put in the C, which is a minus 12. So minus, enter, 12, enter. Double check that I filled it in correctly. Okay, I would agree that's okay. So now let's push solve. Oh, we have some values, but they're the wrong. I mean, they look copacetic, but they're the wrong sign. So they're opposite or inverse of what we need. So let's mark that out and try B. Now, B, notice those are the same A and C values, but they're positive. So maybe this will work. So push zoom and go back and just type over. So I'm going to say 5, enter, and arrow over. But I need to put a addition or a plus there. So that would be plus 12. Now let's try. Okay, notice I have it all incorrectly. Yes, I do. So now let's try solve by graph. And yes, it works. Okay, so I'm going to say option B is what we need. Okay, but we could try the others. Now, like I said, if you're running low on time on a test, don't go back and do this. I'm saying we're good, we're done. Well, let's give it a try. So let's go Zoom Now, on this first one, we want to type over. So alpha y equals, see, it didn't work. I don't know why it does it. So we'll y alpha y equals. Okay. It's just not going to type over. Maybe if I do one, see if I go over for some reason on my emulator, it just doesn't work. So I'm going to have to say 16 divided by 5. If that happens to you, just do what I'm doing and now enter. I really don't know why sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but don't sit and worry about it during a test, right? Just go with what you can do. Okay, so let's double check that I have a good entry. So yes, I'm okay with it, even though my leading A is in a different form. It just doesn't matter. Okay, so let's push graph. Ooh, definitely not where we started from. So that verifies C is not it. Okay, so let's go back to Zoom. Okay, and I push my negative there on that. Now let's try this alpha y equals. Now see it works. Maybe that's why. I don't know. And see if your calculator works. Usually mine does. But the emulator, like I said, every now and again, I see the difference. Let's go 6, arrow down 5, press enter. Perfect. It's what we needed. Arrow over to your C, and nope, we don't have to make any changes. So that's all we needed to do. Push graph, and we are verified. D cannot be an option. Okay, this is the last question in this particular video, and I wanted to thank everyone for watching. And I got another email from someone saying they passed the test, and they passed after failing the first time years ago. Well, I'm sorry, guys, I didn't exist years ago, which is amazing. They watched videos, tried again, passed it and past it, we got the new House bill too. So she was seriously on the edge. She, waited her 2 years. So it's passed now or not at all done. That is amazing. Congratulations to you and the other people who also messaged me with success. It makes me feel so proud that I'm actually helping somebody. Kudos to you guys. And thank you for liking and sharing and subscribing. Subscribers, you're watching, you're telling people about us. You're amazing. Happy testing, everyone.